Welcome to the Wild Type Podcast. I'm Lyssa's Lizards.
I'm Neptune and Chameleon,
and we're your Reptile girlies. I just feel so in sync with our and we're your Reptile girlies now.
One would hope.
I know. It's been a whole year. This is technically our 52nd episode. So
but we are on it.
Yes.
We're doing it.
And I'm really proud of us. I just feel so in sync.
It's the little things,
It's this is so random. Also, I was listening to a podcast this week and they were literally talking about, it was two girls who had a guest on, and it's, one of my reality TV podcasts. And one of them was talking about how they feel like headphones for podcasters are like performative nowadays, and less podcasters are wearing their headphones. And the other girl is also a podcaster. She has her own podcast. And she was like, no, I have to hear myself. Like, I have to be able to hear myself.
So I did that one episode where I forgot my headphones and I felt naked.
No, I absolutely would too. So I was listening to this and I was like, this is so interesting and so relevant.
As a podcaster.
I know.
They're probably thinking this is such like a niche, unrelated topic for their listeners. And you're like, I get it.
I literally was like, oh my God, this is crazy because I agree with her. Not you two. I agree with her.
Yeah.
It's like very funny. I enjoy listening to myself. So.
Yeah, because when we have our headphones on, for maybe you guys who haven't been on a podcast before, if we didn't have our headphones on, it would just be like us talking
like normal.
In a room.
Yeah.
And not the like crisp audio that you guys get to hear because of the microphone.
Yes.
So
I want to hear like you guys get to hear.
I honestly wish I could just go about my whole life with this type of like quality
that would
sound.
Be so cool.
Because the amount of times I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
What?
No.
What'd you say? And I'm like reading lips because people are mumbling, or it's really loud somewhere and you can only get like every other word and you're trying to use context clues to like fill in the blank.
Yes.
That's always hard.
My brain also just is so tangent, aren't even on our topic yet, but my brain just went to the amount of times in a marriage that I am shouting across the house, what? I can't hear you. Can't hear you. Like, it's crazy. So I'm constantly
struggles of a two-story home.
Yes. I'm constantly having to repeat myself or having Logan repeat himself. So this audio would be real nice all the time.
I was at a like bar to watch the football games, which is so not my thing. It's so not your thing.
No.
But I had a friend who was out of town who she like used to live in our city and then she moved and then she was like visiting. So I was like, oh my gosh, would love to see you.
So glad you got to see her too. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like a really big football fan, like her and her fiance. And they're like, we're going to come watch the game. In the game, I'm like, okay. But like to see her, I was like, woohoo,
Woo! That's all that matters.
Like, and it's one of those like bars where they have like 12 games going on at the same time. Everyone's wearing jerseys.
It's such a heavy college football bar too.
Yeah.
It's like,
and so then I roll in and they're like, oh, like who are you rooting for? And like I'll root for a team, but I'm not a fan.
No.
I could not name a single player. No. I'm like, oh, this is what like the team people are cheering for. I'm like, cool. And like I can appreciate good football. Like I can appreciate a good pass or a good play or a good field goal, whatever. Like I can hold my own and like following the game. I just am not emotionally invested in like any team.
Oh, same. I could not be less emotionally invested. Even like my college, quite frankly, don't care. Like if I'm going to a game or if my team is playing and I'm attending some kind of football related event, I will wear my school color.
For sure.
I will wear some.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I had season tickets all through college.
Do I care? Is it going to affect
Couldn't
my
name
day?
A player.
No, absolutely could not
name
a player. Is it going to impact my day in any way, shape, or form what the outcome of that game is?
Their team lost.
No.
And I was like,
I just hope they all have fun. Truly. Just have fun. I hope they enjoy themselves.
Stay safe.
That's it. Yeah. Yep. Nobody gets a concussion this week.
Stay safe out there. No, it's just funny because I wonder how many of like our listeners are like big football fans. So like feel free to drop in the comments, who your team is. Yeah. Because there was like, oh, well, like who's your team if not the ones that are playing? And I'm like,
nope.
Yeah,
no. I'm just here to have fun.
Yep. Just here for the company and the snacks.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's always one of the best parts of football in my opinion. But so getting into our topic for the week, this one's one that we have had. So if anybody doesn't know, we have like a shared note that we will like just random. It's kind of like our collective like topic brain dump, right? So it's just like we just have this like list of potential maybe topics. And this one has been on there, I think since before we started the podcast.
I think so too.
It's been on there for a long time.
Very soon after. It's one of the first topics.
And the reason it was one of the first topics, so we are today talking about living with reptiles and kind of how to handle that, what that looks like, and just what to consider.
Not just living with reptiles, but like with your significant other.
Living with a partner and reptiles.
Yes.
So I totally left out the important part.
You are already living with reptiles.
Yes.
But what do you do when you bring another person into the equation?
Thank you. I left out the most important
part. That's why there's two of us.
When my brain stops working, hers jumps in.
And when mine stops, yours jumps in. So we're good.
But yes, so the reason we have had this topic on our list for so long is because I just moved in with Logan about 1.5 years ago.
Yes.
So right when the podcast, we started kind of putting that together, I had lived with Logan for less than 6 months.
Yeah.
So it was something that I was like kind of currently going through.
And you're like, don't get me started on the toilet paper.
To this day. Oh my gosh.
We'll skip over that one. But there's nuances that come with living with a partner, a significant other, even potentially a roommate. Some of this may be applicable, but like that dynamic is very different. And there's all these things of like,
so many.
How do you split, the chores around the house? Who's cooking dinner? Who's cleaning? All these things. You have to deal with that regardless.
Yeah.
But if you're a reptile keeper, that adds another layer.
Whole other layer. Like there are so many things to consider. Quite frankly, there are things that like you should talk about in advance because there's so many factors there. And so we're going to talk about those factors today.
Let's do it. The one that I think immediately pops into your head is the space.
Absolutely.
Consideration. And this is something I experienced when I was house shopping.
No, same.
And your realtor is like, okay, what are your like have to haves, your nice to haves, and da da da. And I was like, I need either a very large wall or a room or a section of something that's like a flat wall that's like X feet wide, X feet tall so that I can put my reptile enclosures.
And your realtor's like, what?
Yeah. She actually thought it was pretty cool. But as we're like going to houses, right, and we're looking at some older homes and they would have like a formal dining versus an informal dining. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I can use that space
as
for
the reptile space.
Reptiles, because I don't need a formal dining. I feel like is kind of like
it's on its way out.
Yeah, no one really uses that as much. But some of these older homes have those areas. So it's like, okay, maybe there isn't a spare bedroom, but you could use like a formal dining. So it was like very thoughtful and strategic about where I could put all of my enclosures.
For me, so when Logan and I were still renting, but when we were looking, we were creeping on Zillow for houses. We were like done with the apartment life and we're looking for a house. And so we were looking around, and one of the most important things, like you said, kind of like the informal dining space, like my big thing was like, I want my reptile room to also be my office. So I essentially want to be able to take up like, some houses will have like a formal sitting area, which is similar to like all that. But I wanted like, some houses will have like a media room or whatever.
Yeah, or like a bonus room or something. A bonus
room or like for people with kids, like a game room, that kind of stuff. But like we don't have those kids yet. So we
have a reptile room.
We have a reptile room / office with like a couch and things in it. So it's a nice sitting area. So that was thinking about the floor plan that you're going to have access to, or quite frankly, what space you won't have access to, because sometimes you're limited depending on what you and your partner are doing. Like, are you guys moving into a space that you already have and you don't have a choice of a new space? Like, what does that look like? So those are all things you have to consider, and exactly how much space do you really need?
Yes. And then also, are they going to be okay if your reptiles are in the living room versus in like a separate closed off area that would have like a separate door?
Like, I would address that with your partner, like, okay, because even me personally as a reptile keeper, I like to have them all in one space. I don't like having them spread out throughout the house. That's my personal preference. I like them collectively in one area if I can, and I like to avoid having them in the common living spaces. That's just my preference. I actually know a lot of reptile keepers who prefer to have them in the common living spaces because it's like a statement piece. It's something cool, and that you've got the beautiful bioactive enclosure and things like that. So what is your partner comfortable with? Are they cool with having a snake in the living room? Are they not cool with that?
Or their potential friends or family, that because it's now they're coming into their home just as much as your home, and just because they're cool with it does not mean that the people that they socialize with would be cool with that. Also, I had Neptune and Pluto at the time in my living room until I got a dog. And then they were in a separate room with a closed door, because then my dog could be left unsupervised, and then I have peace of mind that my reptiles are going to be okay. well, if you're used to having them out in the open because you don't have a furry critter, but then your significant other
has a furry critter
that is not used to being around reptiles. That's the other thing. Like Campbell, as long as he's been with you guys, has been around reptiles. Same with Ember. Like they know the rules. We've like taught them how to like be respectful of the enclosures and everything else. Like good confidence that nothing's going to happen. Now you bring in a dog or a cat or whoever that's never been around reptile enclosures.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Still have that lingering cough.
I know. But, you know, so then like, would you want a space that has like a closed door? Do you trust their pet to like not do anything bad?
Right. And that's the other thing is also like, is their pet still trainable at this point in their life? Is that something you can work with? What is your confidence level with that? What is their confidence level?
Some people have their reptiles in a closet
Truly.
because that is like their only safe space with like a closed door that they can like fit them in and whatever else.
And I think the safety of it is something you also need to talk to your partner about, specifically like, are they confident with a certain level of, you know, making sure that your reptiles are safe and enclosed? Like, how can they help with that? What is their confidence level with those things? Because that directly plays into the safety of your reptiles.
Yep.
So that's an important factor too.
Because maybe previously you didn't have locks on the enclosures.
Right.
But now to give your significant other like comfort, I guess, and peace of mind, especially if you're keeping like maybe larger snake species or larger lizards that may be a little intimidating if they were to get out. Like maybe they wouldn't be comfortable being able to put them back into their enclosure, and like a lock gives you peace of mind, them peace of mind, you know.
No, 100%. And that's why like love Logan dearly so much, but we've discussed this many times. He's not a reptile guy. So like, quite frankly, not that I don't trust him, but I would not want to put him in a position where he felt like he had to handle one of the snakes, because that's not something he's super confident to be able to do without me around.
Sure.
So like that plays into kind of another layer of this, of talking to your partner of like, what level of confidence do you have in them for like pet sitting, for taking care of your pets, for pitching in on chores? Do you expect that of them at all? Do you expect them to not help at all?
Right.
Do you because I have a certain list, for example, of like the chores that not only is Logan comfortable with helping out with, but that I am comfortable with him handling if I'm not in the home or if I'm not there.
Yeah.
Majority of the time, 90% of the situation for me is that I handle my own pets. I like doing all their chores. He pretty much doesn't help with the reptiles unless I need it because I'm gone or doing something.
Sure.
And so I have a specific, set of things that I'm comfortable with him handling, but there are things that I am not comfortable with him handling. I wouldn't have him feed the snakes without me there. And granted, if I wanted him to get comfortable with that, we would try that.
Yeah.
But we just haven't done that yet. And so it's like, but you want to talk to them about those things of like, what exactly is their comfort level? And also what is yours?
Yeah, their level of participation, right?
Yeah.
In the chores and everything else. Or like if your job changes, right? And now you're having to like travel more, or you now have to have like work like late night shifts, and that's normally when you would care for your reptiles. Yeah. Like, can you lean on your person to like help you through that? Or do you have to find, a pet sitter, know, somewhere else, or figure out a different option or schedule or whatever? Like, not to say your person or your partner has to be who you lean on, but it's a worthwhile conversation and like opportunity for them to learn and be educated, because they're going to be living in the home. Absolutely.
And again, it also goes to like your confidence level too with them. And that's not like a knock on your partner at all.
No, not at all.
It's like, for me, I don't want Logan doing all of my chores or even really helping with them.
No, because it's your thing.
It's my thing.
Yeah.
And I prefer it that way. I'm a little selfish about it. It's like, they're my pets. Like,
yeah,
you live with them, but these are my babies.
They're your responsibility. Absolutely.
So, you kind of got to cover that. And I think that kind of goes into also the costs of it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. We briefly talked about this as we were like prepping. So costs are going to go up. I think the two that kind of are the big ones: electricity for sure, water potentially, depending on what species
if you have turtles,
keep, right? Then your water bill could go up. But like, that's something that you should, as you're talking about like the finances of how we're going to split the utilities, right? Are you splitting your utilities 50-50, or do you pitch in a little extra, knowing that your reptiles are probably going to require a little more electricity, a little more water, whatever your species, require?
And that kind of goes into like, no matter what your situation is, anybody that you move in with, whether it's a roommate, a partner, anything along those lines, like you're going to have those financial conversations,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
even roommates have like the conversation of like, oh, well, I have the primary bedroom and your bedroom is smaller. So what percentage am I going to pay? So like you just,
I know I had those conversations in college.
Yeah. We've all had those conversations with at least one roommate at some point. Like when I was living with my roommate in that townhouse, I had 2 bedrooms, right? With like a Jack and Jill bedroom, but she had the primary bedroom that was much bigger. She had like a bougie bathtub and all this stuff. And so we talked about it and we're like, we're even. I was like, I got an extra room. You got a bigger space. We're good.
Yeah.
Like we're good.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to talk through that. But in those financial conversations, let's be real, you're going to be having anyways, or you should be having anyways.
Yes.
Just make sure that you and your partner or roommate or whoever are very aware.
Yes, because they might not even realize.
They
They
might
think
not
they just
even-
take up space, but there's no additional.
They don't think
like,
about the
cost.
electricity or the water or the food costs or all of those things. So like make sure that you have your ducks in a row financially of like knowing what to pay for, and then just make sure that your partner's aware of it and okay with it.
Yeah.
I think. So that's a pretty important one. Just like combining the costs of it all. Mm-hmm. This one is a very funny one, no matter who you're living with, because what are they aware of in terms of all that you have to keep in your home that they will be sharing?
The feeders.
For example, I had to tell my roommate and my now husband that they were going to have dead frozen mammals and rodents in their freezer.
Yep.
And with my roommate, the solution for that was I just had to keep them in a container that like you couldn't see them, right?
Yep.
She was like, as long as I don't see it, I don't care. And she was like, and as long as it doesn't touch food, I don't care. And I was like, great.
Okay.
And so we had this one drawer at the very bottom of the freezer, and she knew not to touch it. And I was like,
the no drawer.
Is the no drawer. You don't ever want to see what's in there. Don't open. Don't even look at it.
Yeah.
So
don't ask, don't know, don't tell.
And now Logan and I also have like a section, and it's like sectioned off where like all the rodents are. And we're actually planning on getting a like bigger like outdoor freezer specifically for that and like meat and things soon. So that'll be great. But
yeah, I know someone who has a pet snake that lives with roommates, and their freezer's just packed, right?
Yeah.
Like they just have food. There's no room.
especially with roommates, you
And,
can
like,
keep a lot of freezer stuff.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of room. So like they got their own individual little freezer that they just keep in their room, just like how you can buy like a mini refrigerator, you can buy like a mini freezer, and so they have that just for their rats,
That's so smart.
for their snake, because they'll buy them in bulk too, right? So then they have like a lot of rats. They have like 50 rats.
They're so much cheaper in bulk. Yeah.
And like there just was not enough freezer room to like have 50 rats
and
take up all that room.
And Logan and I are currently having that issue where like the freezer's constantly full. It's never really like, we're always, every grocery trip we're like playing, like it
Little
just
Tetris.
Yeah, that's
Freezer Tetris.
I couldn't remember the word.
See, this is why there's two of us.
My brain's not on point today. But so we're planning on getting a freezer outside. But is your roommate or your partner aware? Are they comfortable with the fact that you're going to have potentially, frozen rodents, but then also the bugs?
Yes.
Because some people might have serious issues with that too.
I think people probably have more issues
with the bugs.
I
agree.
Than the frozen.
I mean, Logan
frozen rats
on like a weekly basis comes up to me and it's like, is this one of yours? Is this your?
Okay, you've mentioned that, but statistically speaking, how often is it
never
one of yours?
Never. He said it to me today. There was a dead cricket on the floor near the garage, and it was
like a wild cricket.
It was a wild cricket. It had nothing. And ironically, I actually did, while feeding, notice that 2 crickets got loose while feeding the other day, and I couldn't find it. They like went under something, and I couldn't get them.
Yeah.
So I did warn Logan, like, hey, there's a couple crickets loose if they make its way into your office, which is like the room next to the reptile room.
Yeah.
I was like, just let me know. And so that's why he pointed out the cricket. He was like, is this one of yours? I'm like, if it's like dark black, it's not mine.
No.
That's not mine.
Also, wow, crickets are like massive. So
huge. This sucker was big.
You're not feeding that size cricket to your reptiles.
No. It was like a good 2-incher, It's a big one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like, are they comfortable with that? What was their level?
And roaches, right?
Yes.
Like a lot of people are not comfy with the idea of having roaches, even if you take all the precautions. Like realistically, there will be an escapee.
At
That's
least
just like
one or two.
bound to happen, no matter how lock and key, you keep your roaches. I use tongs, I cup feed. Like, I don't free range any of my roaches. Like, there's no way that I'm letting them get loose. But my chameleons will take down 2 roaches. One falls out of its mouth, and now it's just like scurrying off. And like your enclosures, yes, they're like sealed, but like you still have the door, and there's still that crack of like where the door hinges, and like they can get through there.
And also, like, let's be real, like I just said, human error, right? Yeah. I had like, my little baggie of crickets, because I only buy those like once every week or so. Yeah. And so, because I don't like keeping those in the house. I hate the crickets. But so I had my little baggie, and while I was like dumping them into like Kermit's enclosure, because she will pretty much only eat crickets and hornworms. It drives me nuts. She's a bougie girl. It's so annoying. But anyway, I was dropping them in there, and 2 slipped out the door and then skirted underneath her enclosure right after, so I couldn't get to it. So it's going to happen.
Yes.
It's going to happen.
So you have to make sure you are upfront about that.
And honest,
Yeah, because I've had superworms escape, I've had hornworms escape, I have doobie roaches escape, I've had larvae escape. Every single bug that I've kept has somehow, my fault or not, has made its way, the hornworms was for sure my fault, has made its way outside of the enclosure. And like, you have to be okay with that potential possibility and just be honest.
Personally me, I would rather find my own any day, because I know where they came from, and I know that they're like safe, clean, whatever for the most part, than have a wild one. Give me my own bugs any day over a wild bug.
I 100% agree with that, because I also know what it is.
Exactly.
When you see like a black blob on the floor and you like don't know what it is, I'm like, what are we walking in here?
Absolutely not. No, I don't like that. But if I know what it looks like, I'm like, oh, that's mine. It's fine. No big deal.
No big deal. A little dubia. Don't mind if I do.
That's just important to talk about. And what do they expect of that? Also, like, what are your precautions that you're taking?
Yeah, and comfort level, because like I'm buying hundreds of roaches at a time. And when I had just my living room, like my 1-bedroom apartment, like my roaches were in my living room. And at night, during like a quiet time of like a TV show, you can hear them. Yes. Yeah. Now I have a separate reptile room. I have a closet in there, and like they go in there and like they're out of sight, out of mind. Like you would have no idea that I had those in my home. But like when they were in my living room, you absolutely could hear them.
Well, and same with when I was in my studio apartment, right? Like I could totally hear them occasionally. And like at least a couple times when Logan slept over, he was like, what was that? I'm like, don't worry about it. Just don't think about it.
It's the roaches, honey.
Don't think about it. So just got to be upfront and honest. Make sure that they're aware of what they're getting into. We are not in the business of tricking people when living with them.
Yep. And then also for any of our species that require like salads and things like that, right? Like your grocery bill might be a little higher because you're having to buy fresh fruits and vegetables on a regular basis. Like that's going to take up space in your refrigerator.
Beardy people, iguana people. We know your produce bill is not light.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's an important one.
Creature Farm is a woman and family-owned business dedicated to reptiles, amphibians, and creatures of all kinds.
They breed and sell some exciting species along with their cute merch, but what they're most well known for is their species signs for all your pets' enclosures.
Their wooden species signs feature a hand-drawn illustration of the animal, common and scientific names, plus key information about the species.
You can even add your pet's name for a custom touch. With over 300 species, they're likely to have one for each of your scaly critters. Head on over to creaturefarmanimals.com to check them out. Have you guys checked out the Palm Street app yet? Pangea is going live in the Palm Street app every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. They'll be doing giveaways every 10 minutes, and geckos are starting at $1. They also have the cheapest shipping for reptiles on the Palm Street app, and they don't even charge extra shipping for additional geckos. And don't miss their free shipping on dry goods supplies purchased in their store.
And be on the lookout at the end of November for their Black Friday sales. Head on over to PangeaReptile.com to take advantage of all their great deals. Geckos, isopods will be on sale along with BOGOs throughout the store.
The last one we kind of already talked about, but it's essentially just what is their comfort level with handling as well. And so, like I said, we kind of already talked about it, but like, and this kind of goes back into their comfort level, not only with handling, but also with the common spaces. Like
like free ranging or like taking them out. Like, are they going to be okay with? Right. Because some people will watch TV with their beardies, right? Yeah. Is that something that they're comfortable with?
And some people, like for example, sometimes people with like really big snakes, will just lounge with them on the couch and have them explore the room, and that's a totally amazing thing because big snakes like that need exercise and recreation and stuff. And so but are they comfortable with that? Because like me personally, I don't really take the reptiles out of the reptile room unless I'm going outside with them.
Same.
Just because everything in the reptile room for me is safe. I know what's in there. I know what they can get into, what they can't get into.
Right. You can also make sure Campbell's not getting into the room. Yeah.
So it's like, so I just prefer to have it be reptile room only, but some people love to have them out in the common spaces. Totally. So is your partner comfortable with that? Do they know that you do that? Are they good with that? It's so important to make sure that in every area they are comfortable with how you handle things with your pets.
Yes. Yep. And these are just conversations that need to be had, and they could be very simple, like, oh yeah, totally fine, no big deal. Or they're like, hey, I would just prefer that they like are not,
Or maybe you're really lucky and you are also with another reptile keeper, reptile lover, and you don't even have to worry about this stuff because they already know it. You've already talked about it a million times.
You just have to find enough wall space.
Yeah, good luck with that. Because we talked about like combining pets. Imagine combining two people's reptile. First off, you people who have that problem, I'm jealous. That's so cool. You like double your reptile family. That's so cool. But also I'm jealous because these conversations are just easier and a no-brainer. Yeah. So
what I think is hilarious is when like tarantula keeping and frog keeping are like very different than reptile keeping. It's like same but different in that there's typically a larger quantity. Like when people keep tarantulas, like they keep like
so many,
a lot of them. Same with like frogs. Like you usually keep lots of different frogs. So that's just like a lot of enclosures versus people who keep snakes or lizards typically have fewer species because they take up more space with their individual enclosures. So I'm just imagining someone who's like got lizards or snakes moving in with someone who's got like frogs or tarantulas.
That would be so cool because it's like the same thing in different fonts, you know? It's like it's like,
got your thing, but like this is my thing, that's your thing, but you can appreciate and understand my thing because it's very similar to your thing. Oh, or fish keepers.
Yeah.
Fish keepers. Do they say keepers?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
But if you had like an aquatics person moving in with like a reptile person.
That would be so cool, honestly. I kind of love that. I'm kind of obsessed with that.
Like if you had like a jungle on one side and then the ocean on the other side, right? Man. And you did like...
I really need to get Logan into something because that would be so sick.
Yeah.
I love that.
Realistically, you'll get into fish.
Yeah,
but
we're good.
It'll happen.
I've got all of our bases covered. We are good.
Yeah. But anyways, there's lots of things to consider. And like moving in is a very big deal. And like there should be multiple conversations that happening.
Many conversations.
And like maybe there's things with their hobby, right? Or their passion or their interest that is going to like...
Logan and his whole like gaming setup that he's got going on back in there. You know, it's like he had a very specific requirement for his desk space, right?
Right.
Like everybody's got their own things. And, you know, so, and just a random tangent. I think it's very important for both individuals in a relationship to have their own hobbies and passions. That is just, I think, very important for a healthy relationship.
I agree. Especially as an individual who does have a passion or interest. Like I think it's super attractive when someone has their their own thing. It does not have to be my thing. Yeah. You just have to have your thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's like one of the hottest things a person can have is like a passion for some kind of hobby or something. We love it. We love it. So I think that about covers the like living with a partner.
Yeah, but we'd love to hear from you guys, right? If you've navigated these conversations or you're anticipating moving in with a significant other and you're like, not so sure how to go about it. Maybe this was helpful or things that you guys have talked about that we haven't mentioned, like would love to hear.
Yeah, because there's so many different ways this topic can go. So, this probably isn't our last, episode on this kind of vibe. So
no, because maybe one day I will find someone and move in with them, and I'm gonna have to have these conversations, and I can update you guys in like 20 years when I finally find someone.
The cynicism.
I'm just being realistic,
We love it. We love it. We love the realism here.
Hopefully before 20 years, but you never know.
So our next little segment, we have just like a couple of random questions. And like, again, this is just kind of like pulling from our list of like fun topics.
Things we wanted to talk about, but just like haven't yet.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, half of the podcast is just like stuff we want to gab about. I think it's fun.
Yes.
So this one is very random, but I love it. So what would we request for our last meals?
I added this one to the list.
I loved this one.
I watch a lot of like jail TV shows, like life in prison type stuff.
Okay. A, I didn't know that about you. But B, I have also gotten sucked into jail TikTok. occasionally.
Oh.
So I have gotten very sucked into that, and that is fascinating. The people, like, I think there was this one girl who her sentence or whatever was like she had to go in every weekend, right? So she would vlog everything like Monday through Friday, like talking about her like weekend jail experience. It was crazy. So I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, like Life Behind Bars, like those types of like TV shows are like when I am
Really
in the
fun.
like the lull of my seasons, right? Where you're like spring season has ended, it's summer, and there's like no shows coming out and you need something to watch. Like that's kind of one of my my go-tos.
Yeah, I just keep all my reality shows on repeat during those seasons, so I feel you.
And I watch a lot of like cheesy crime shows, not like true crime stuff because I'm not cut out for that.
Have we talked about Castle on the show before?
Yeah,
I feel like it's been brought up, so kind of like that, right?
Like that kind of stuff, right? And they'll always have like someone who's like sentenced to life, and they like try to like refute the like sentence or whatever, that kind of stuff. So
I would just wish that I could get you into Criminal Minds.
I did watch it. I told you I did watch it, and then I watched it way too fast, way too many episodes, and then I lived by myself. So
I know. I just want you to get back into it because I just love it so much.
I need to do it in small doses.
Yes, it's definitely one of those.
I need to
that
like
you have
space
to,
it in between other episodes, not just like go full Criminal Minds. And I cannot watch it like past like 10 p.m.
It's a lot. Like, it's just not, in my personal opinion, it's not a show that I can comfortably binge because...
And that's what I was doing with it. I was just going through like episode after episode, and then it just made me so pessimistic and just like assume everyone around me was like trying to kill me, and it just like put me in a really bad headspace.
Okay. That just so... That just reminded, we're getting so off topic, but that just reminded me when I was 16, I unfortunately had mono and strep throat at the same time for like a full like 2 or 3 weeks in high school.
That's terrible.
You know, it was horrible. It was like one of the worst like months of my life. It was terrible. But because of that, I was a couch potato for like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yes.
And during that time, the only show that was consistently on that I like didn't get sick of was CSI New York. I got to the point where I was standing in my bathroom getting ready for school each day, like my junior year of high school. And I was like getting ready for school, and I was sitting there like, oh, well, if I like dropped my mascara and then like died in the bathroom, like would that be a clue as to like what happened? And I was like looking around at like, it's insane.
Your brain can only take so much.
Yes. And I was like, oh, but if they touched this, that would leave the fingerprint. And I started like psychoanalyzing my own murder that like hadn't happened. It was crazy.
See, so too much.
I had to stop.
Too much. And that's what was happening with Criminal Minds. Is I was like, the guy like cutting the hedges across the street is like gonna come over here and like chop me into bits.
It's also just such a heavy show. It's so heavy.
So I take a pause.
Yeah, that's fair.
I probably got through like 3 seasons.
I know. It just gets so good in the later seasons.
Okay, ask the question.
I'm sorry. Okay. Well, I did ask. What would we request for our last meal?
I even forgot you even asked it.
Ultimate tangent.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
I'll go first. I feel like mine is simpler. She typed hers into my phone, but
just
I haven't
looked. Forgot.
But I haven't looked. I just know it's going to be funny and random because that's just so on brand. So mine is very simple. It is been my favorite food since I was a small kid. My mom used to make this meal, and I still make it nowadays. I actually haven't made it in like over a year, so I'm probably going to make it in the next week now that I'm talking about it. But it's called crouton chicken, and that's what my family always called it.
Okay.
It is literally just chicken breasts with like Swiss cheese on top, which I normally don't like Swiss cheese, but in this recipe I love it. And then it is sour cream and the cream of chicken soup mixed together.
Yes.
Poured on top.
Okay.
With covered in croutons on top. And so the croutons get crispy on top, but soft and moist on the bottom from all the sauce. And then I've got the egg noodle pasta like on the side with like garlic broccoli. Literally, it's my comfort meal. I love it so much.
I've never even heard of this.
It was like a recipe my mom found in the 90s. And I think she said that it used to be called like, whoever she got it from called it Swiss chicken, but me and my sister just kept calling it crouton chicken because the croutons were our favorite part.
Yeah, the Swiss is like buried deep in there.
Who cares about the Swiss? We were hyper focused on like the croutons. The croutons are so delicious.
Is there a particular crouton you use?
Oh, the Texas toast croutons.
Okay.
The thick boys.
Okay.
The really
like
good croutons.
Kind of like garlicky flavor in them. Yeah.
Yes.
If you ever want to make some, let me know, and I will pop on over and I will.
No, truly, I need you to try it because it is like, and the sauce that all that stuff together makes poured on top of the noodles is like, that will forever be my favorite meal. And then for my last drink, this is a really random one. My very first job ever in the world was at Sonic Drive-In.
Yes.
When I was 15 years old.
I do know this.
Because my best friend and I used to, we thought that it would be really fun to get a summer job at Sonic, and we got it, and then I had it until I was 18. So I ended up nearly managing the place. But when you work at Sonic, you test out a lot of the drinks.
Yeah.
My weird favorite Sonic drink to this day is a cranberry Dr. Pepper, and I would want that to be my last drink.
Your last drink?
My last drink.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a last drink on my list, but I know exactly what it'll be, so I'll be sure to include
Just
that.
include it.
Okay, so mine is a multi-part, like multi-course type of
I'm very excited.
Type of meal.
I'm very excited.
Okay, so we start out with a bowl of Lucky Charms.
Which just cracks me up because that's so on brand.
I
so on brand.
love cereal.
I haven't even looked at a box of Lucky Charms since I was probably like 7 years old.
I love cereal.
You have always loved
I had a bowl of
cereal.
Captain Crunch before I came over here.
You have always loved cereal. It's
Yeah.
always been kind of like one of your things.
It's what I eat for breakfast every day, but
Yeah.
it's also what I'll have for like a evening snack sometimes.
Do you drink the milk as well?
Depends.
Okay.
Some cereals are like way too sweet. Like
True.
if I like
True.
I don't eat a lot of Trix, but like for example, Trix like that milk is like
Yeah.
way
Intense.
too sweet. Mm-hmm. But if I'm doing like a bowl of like plain Cheerios, then like I'll drink the
It's
milk
so funny.
after.
I didn't grow up in a cereal family. I have never really
Big
been a big
cereal
cereal
family.
person.
Yep.
But that's what it's like one of your, that's why I'm like, it's so on brand.
Yes. So start off with
Yes.
a bowl of Lucky Charms, followed by McDonald's French fries.
It's, yes, that's solid.
Like, and I want fresh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm dying here. Fresh McDonald's
The
French
good
fries.
stuff.
Yes. And then I want a shrimp tempura sushi roll.
Solid.
Which it has like the shrimp tempura, cucumber, avocado, and then eel sauce with a little like crispy bits on it. So shrimp tempura roll, and then to like my little dessert to like round it out. Thank you. I said final it out, and I was like, that's not right.
Round it out.
See, you're my other half. This is how this works. Round it out is a vanilla cupcake from the grocery store. Just like from
That
like
one shocks me.
just from like a Safeway, Albertsons, Kroger, Tom Thumb, like
That shocks
Fred Meyer,
me.
wherever you get, you're just like, it does not have to be a bougie cupcake. I just want.
Okay, I have to ask why. Because
They're
out of
some
all of
of
your
my-
favorite desserts,
There's some of my favorites. It's just like the super
Wow.
cheap, super simple vanilla cupcake with vanilla icing.
I was not expecting that. I was expecting some like fancy ice cream. I was expecting like a whole, flight of Peeps, like something.
I just want like a vanilla cupcake.
That's very wholesome. I like that for you.
They're so good. They're just
Yeah.
like, they hit the spot every time. And I've tried the like $6 like super fancy cupcakes, and they just like, they're good. Don't get me wrong. But like if I'm dying, that's the one I want.
I love that.
And my drink of choice would be a glass of fat-free milk.
That is so
Cow milk. I guess I have to specify.
I have two friends that are milk people, and it's you and one of my other friends, and the two of you actually roomed together on my bachelorette, and it just cracks me up because you guys are just so intense on your milk, and I don't get it, but I appreciate it.
It is the most hilarious thing because like I get done with like a long day of work, and people like want to crack open like a soda or a beer or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I could really go for a glass of milk right now.
So funny
Just
to me.
like, that's what I need.
It just will always crack me up. You and my one other friend are like my milk people.
So it's like a super random hodgepodge of like things, but that would make me so happy.
But the way that I look at it, because like when we were both like writing our own, like coming up with ours before this, and like you were like, can it be like a hodgepodge? And I was like, you're dying. Who cares? It doesn't have to make sense for your flavor profile.
I was between sushi and Chick-fil-A nuggets.
Yes.
And if I'm going for like a cohesive meal, then the nuggets make more sense with the French fries, right?
True.
The French fries don't really go with the sushi,
But
right?
who cares when it's your last meal? You're dying.
Yeah.
Who cares if it
And I
makes
would
sense?
pick sushi over Chick-fil-A nuggets as much as I do love those.
Yeah.
So that's why I went that direction.
I'm still sad that I can't have Chick-fil-A anymore, but I'll just never get over that. But
Let us know what your last meal would be if you could pick. Would you include?
yeah, let us know. Would it be a hodgepodge? Would it be something like a
home-cooked
childhood meal? You got to decide.
Something through the drive-through?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Let us know. So, okay, we got one more very random question.
Yes.
And we are very different on this one, which I find very funny. Are you the type of girl to carry a purse when you go out?
My answer is no.
My answer is yes.
What if we just left it at that? Like, no explanation.
End
just
of episode. End scene.
That's it. You don't get a reason why.
Well, I want to know your reason why, because it always boggles my mind that you don't carry a purse.
No, I own
You avoid
two.
it. You avoid it at all costs.
Yeah, I literally. So I went to that football shindig thing. Didn't have a purse.
Blows my mind.
But I have pockets. So, well, because my thing is like I've got keys, my phone, and my wallet.
Yeah.
And like that's the extent of what I bring. I usually have sunglasses, but I'll like wear them on my head. Yeah. I'm not one to have like lip gloss and like this and that and this and that, like all these little trinkets and things that like people usually carry in their purses.
If I'm being honest, I don't have a lot of that either. I will sometimes have lipstick, sometimes, but I will admit, I'm a little bit on the same train of thought that like I don't carry big purses, right? Unless I'm traveling. Like I don't carry big purses. Mine are all pretty small. So it's like, so I definitely don't like the hassle of like a large purse, but like
I just want my things like on me, and I don't want to have to worry about like carrying a purse. I don't like the feeling of it like swinging around while I'm walking. Okay. I don't like the feeling of it crossbody and it like cutting like my chest like or in the middle, and then I don't like where I have to like where it's like a clutch where I just have to like hold it the whole time.
I can't do clutches
because then I'm like and I don't want to set it down anywhere because I'm not going to remember to like grab it.
I will lose a purse if somebody ever forces me to carry a clutch for some reason. It will be gone.
And it's just like, and then it's on my shoulder, and then it's like, okay, so then you're gonna sit down and you put it on your chair, but then it doesn't sit on the chair well, and it ends up on the floor, and then they have to be like, oh, you dropped your purse. I'm like, because I have to put it back on my chair, and then I'm also annoyed because I feel like I have to use a purse because women's pockets are so dang small, or I'm wearing a cute skirt and it doesn't have pockets.
Well, and that's my issue is like, quite frankly, my outfits simply don't have enough pockets.
And that you were getting all like in the last episode of like your authority and you're like, you know, whatever. That's how I feel. Yeah. I don't want to wear a purse because I have to. Totally. Because I don't have a way to carry all my stuff. Get that. I want to wear a purse because I think it's cute. Yes. And I enjoy wearing it and it adds to my outfit and whatever else. Not because my pockets are too small or my skirt or whatever.
Yeah. I will say
the end.
I almost always am very particular about pairing my purse with my outfit so that it feels necessary. So I agree with that train of thought. Because I, in particular, am like, okay, this outfit would be better embellished with said purse. So that's why I'm wearing it. So it like makes more sense in my head.
Yeah, I just don't like the feeling of it like on my shoulder.
But that's why I usually do the crossbody vibe. Because then I don't feel it as much.
But then it like smushes your boobs or...
A little bit, but
I don't like that feeling.
But again, I do the light. Like my purses are very small and light, so it's not smushing them that bad.
It's like I'm wearing a seatbelt. That's like not quite where it needs to be.
I get it. I understand your reasoning. I do.
And if I don't have pockets, then I just bring like a clump.
Yeah.
And it's my clump of keys, my wallet, and my phone, and I'll get some and I just like put it on the table. Yeah. And I'm like, well, here it is. Or I just shove it on my chair. And I'm like, because if you're like somewhere that like you probably shouldn't put all your stuff on the table.
It's like a little socially inappropriate.
Then I just kind of like have it, a little pile sit in my lap because I don't want to deal with a purse. I do own them and I will wear them. Like if I'm wearing like a dress or something like I really probably shouldn't just grab a blob of my things. Right. But
I get it.
Not my favorite.
For me, I feel if I'm leaving the house without something strapped onto my body that's carrying my things, I feel naked. So I totally get it, but I'm like, we have like similar trains of thought, but different results.
Yeah, different ways about going it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but let us know. Are you guys the type to carry a purse? Do you not carry a purse? Are you a dude and you definitely don't carry a purse? Like, which do you prefer?
Or a dude purse, right? Yeah. A satchel.
Or are you a dude who carries a purse? I would like to know that too. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I mean, Logan occasionally has his backpack that he takes around if he's got a bunch of stuff going on. So. You know.
This is a pro of dating a guy that has like big pockets.
Yes.
Because this is why I need to find someone. Because I'm like, hey, honey, can you carry all my crap? Thank you.
No. Well, okay, but there's also the flip side of that where they will ask you because you have a purse. So
but I don't have the purse. So
you know the TikTok sound? But luckily, I have purse. You know that's what I was like, but luckily, I was about to say, but luckily, you don't have purse.
Sorry, honey, can't stick it in my...
Yeah, but I constantly have to carry Logan's keys or whatever if it's like annoying him or something, if I'm carrying my purse. And there are times where I'm like, no, my purse is too small. Deal with it.
That's true. All mine are very compact because I'm like, don't want to be carrying anything extra. So I'm with you.
Yeah, but let us know. Very, very curious. So those are our random questions for a somewhat random episode, but I enjoyed it. So.
We're here for it. Some of them are very structured.
Yes.
And then others are just kind of like whatever we're feeling.
Others are just like, what are we in the mood to discuss?
Today, that was it.
Yeah. So we hope you enjoyed, and, do all the things. Please give us a subscribe, leave us a review, check us out on all the socials at The Wild Type Podcast on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, all the things. So, and then you can follow
me, Neptune the Chameleon, on all the things.
And Lyssa's Lizards, also on all the things. And we will catch you girlies next week.
See ya.
Bye.